Welcome to my third tutorial. This is Denis, Labrecque, and I will teach you today how to add your meta tags to complete your web page. So if you haven't listened to my three other tutorials, Tutorial 1, Tutorial 2.1, and Tutorial 2.2, you might as well do so if you want to know how we got here. However, let's continue with the business at hand. And here we're considering often used meta tags. The first one, incidentally, is not actually a meta tag as such. And let me just go to this version so that I can copy the stuff here. So we're going to use this doc-type declaration to tell which version of HTML we're using. Right now we're using HTML5, like you should. Therefore, we're going to paste this declaration in the browser. This makes sure that these styles are handed as they should be in HTML5, and the text, nothing will get out of hand. Everything will look like it's an HTML5 document. Now, we also have the meta tag that indicates to the computer which text encoding we're using. So which set of fonts will be inside our web page. Notice about this that you must put it at the beginning of your head section, because for it to be valid, it has to be in the first few hundred or thousand bytes of your document. So if that's not the case, it won't work. Now notice here I have character set Windows 1252. Usually you'll see something like character set. Oh, sorry, I touched the trackpad again. Yeah, usually you'll see UTF-8. However, that's not extremely important. Just as long as you use a character set, stick with that one. And that will make sure that when you use special characters, which we'll explain in another tutorial, well, when you use special characters, they'll be displayed properly with the correct font. So next comes our title. The title, I would dare say, is single-handedly the most important part of our HTML document, apart from the content itself. Because, of course, if we refresh our page here, I'll remove that pane for now. We see that the title appears here, and I didn't put a real title. Be sure, by the way, to put a title for each of your pages and a different title, and your site name so that people can identify where that page is coming from. Be sure to put a real title, but it looks cute, but it doesn't look so important. However, if we look at this search that I have done for sinedville, we see that Google has answered my query with finding all the titles with sinedville in it. That means that Google is looking, when you type something, Google is first looking for pages that have the title of your search query. And when you think about it, that makes sense, because you would expect a document with a title with your search query to have to do with what you're looking for. So it searches first for that title. That's why your title is very important. Also, it identifies how the users will see your page. So here they see it as, this is in French, but they see it as sinedville bienvenue, welcome. And that's what identifies your page. It's not just a little title and site name up here. Therefore, it's very important that you get the title right. Do not forget the title. The next thing will be our description, and the description is quite similar to the title. It is, in fact, well, I'll paste it in my document first. I put it after the title because it's a bit less important. But you still would want to have a description. What the description does is, if we go back to our search, the description is this text that's underneath the search right here. And that appears only in search engines, but it's very important for a user to know what he's clicking on. So you'd want that description to be, you'd want that description to be within 150 characters. Don't worry too much about the number of characters you have. Anything, a sentence or two or three will be fine. The only thing that happens is that as you see, not there, but here, you see that the description has been cut because it was too long, more than 150 characters, probably for Google. So in different search engines, you'll have a different amount of characters allowed. So just write about 150 and that's fine. Next, we'll consider... Oh, one thing I want to say about our description here. If you don't fill out a description in your page, as I'm telling you here, you write the description in here. And by the way, only include single quotes, don't include double quotes, or else you close your description before the end of this tag right here. What I was going to say is that if you don't include a description with your page, Google automatically searches for the first paragraph of text. So in our case, that would be, this is a paragraph, and it would show up here as being the description for your page. So that can give you weird results. Sometimes that can work well, but at other times you wouldn't want that to happen, so be sure you have the correct description, please. Next thing is your link to your icon. So if you want to actually create an icon, you would go in your site here and add this link, home, save, and what this will do is that it'll basically go pick up a picture that you tell it to go pick up and display it as the icon for the top corner of your page title right here. A similar icon to this, the same size. So we want it to, since we're working with this index file, we'll go in image and we'll pick up this jet1.ping. So we'll go in what did I call it? Oh, image, and jet1.ping. Remember to include that ending file type. And here there's something a bit special. You have to include the type of image. So if you have ping here, you would have ping there. If you have JPEG there, you have JPEG there. What that does when you refresh the page, you see this very weirdly stretched out plane appears. Now, of course, you would want your icon to be square. And another thing is, if you notice, if I look at my properties for this image, it's way too big. It's 668 kilobytes. You'd want to have an image that's between 2 to 4 kilobytes because it's very small. It's going to save bandwidth and it's basically going to show up properly. So make sure that's the case. Next, our meta name robots index follow. If I go to my Komodo edit right here, paste that in. Oh, I keep removing when I shouldn't. So here we go. What this does is it decides whether or not the not the web browser, but the search engine will index your page as a result. So you can choose whether or not the search engine will index your page. Of course, indexing your page is usually good. So you might be wondering why you would not index your page. And the reason why you wouldn't is, let's say your page were under construction, you might want it to temporarily not show up. So what you would do is write no index and no follow. The only thing about this, well, I'll explain first what happens is that it first doesn't index into its huge index of web pages that you can search for. It doesn't index yours, so it won't show up in the search query. And no follow is that any links, such as this link here that we have on our web page, it will not be followed. So it will not, the way search engines find pages is that they follow links from this document to that document. So they hop around here and there, following the links. And if you don't provide links for it to follow, well, it may not index other pages that are subsequent to this page right here. So that's what these tags mean. So you want to be sure that you don't accidentally de-index your page, and that you keep these at index and follow when your page is ready. Be very sure about that. Next thing is our language. Now, we could use this old meta name language, but we rather should use the attribute called lang or language, and I'll show you how that works. You go in your HTML this time, and you write lang equals, and then we could have English US, English Canada, or as you saw, I had French Canada, but for this tutorial we'll keep it at English Canada since I'm Canadian. And presumably that would help search engines find results that are in the right language. So these are the main meta tags that you'll use all the time. And now for interesting meta tags. Now, why are these meta tags interesting? Because I had to use them. Basically, this first meta tag is called Viewport. For this meta tag, I would suggest that you go see this page called this site, html5.com. It was / meta tags, I think this page is called. So anyway, if you find this page, it'll tell you all about this meta tag that we're talking about, which is Viewport. You have to go to the bottom of this page down here. I saved it for my reference. So Viewport, I basically searched for this meta tag when I discovered that my brother, having installed Firefox on his phone, Firefox would actually, if I press Shift Control M, this would be a bit like a phone definition, and Firefox would kind of show his page like this, like a computer, as if it were on a computer but on a really tiny screen. So it was doing as if this screen right here was this width, and it looked really berserk. So what you'll want to do is, if your page is styled to work with a phone definition, if it's not, well, you wouldn't add this meta tag. But if it is styled to work with phones, what you would want to do is add this meta tag to just say to keep it at a normal size, which would be this. And that's all it does. So you can adjust things here, but basically if you copy this and paste it into your document, you'll be fine. And the last two meta tags, I'll copy them all at once, and they are Apple meta tags. Once again, I would suggest that you go see my page right here about meta tags, and they have instructions about how this works. What these meta tags do is they customize your search bar and how the page displays in a phone, an iPhone or iPad. I'm not a super specialist on how iPhones and iPads look, although we do have an iPad. But this should change your bar, and this will tell the browser that presumably your page is handheld friendly and well styled for a telephone, and so the telephone doesn't have to ignore it. So if I update this won't show too much, but your meta tags are applied, and notice that they won't show inside the body of your document, but these are all attributes that apply to your page anyhow, even if they don't show up. So, to conclude, I want to bring you to this complete list of meta tags by Lance Pollard. One bad thing about this page is that you can't actually see this text. It's really not well styled. And also I discovered that you had to click on the left of these numbers to find out about each meta tag. But he has a complete list of meta tags. It's really great, and you can see all the meta tags that exist and how they're used. And it's, even if you don't use obviously all these meta tags on one document, meta tags are still quite useful, and you'll want to be familiar with what you can do with meta tags. If you look at this, these are just basic meta tags, and they're taking up more space in our body, although our body is not very complete. So, I'm looking forward to see you on my next tutorial. And here we go. My next tutorial will be, sorry, this is wrong. My next tutorial 4, will continue this theme of making our site, and we'll start styling it according to our reference photo, which is over here. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you then.